The Eventus story bridges the gap between structured business processes and less structured collaboration tools. Eventus recognizes that business events are triggered from within enterprise systems and also from unstructured channels, for example, email and phone conversations. These events often involve problem-solving between people spanning not only departments, but even across companies. This collaborative problem-solving, which we call a business scenario, often leverages information from within enterprise systems. The resulting decisions intersect with structured business processes, thus completing the scenario. In short, the Eventus prototype represents a tangible demonstration of Enterprise 2.0 principles. This Eventus business scenario represents a real-world situation for an automotive parts manufacturer, McGee Manufacturing, who builds ABS, anti-lock braking system, assemblies. Tim Murphy, a McGee purchasing manager, is notified by a supplier, TieBuy, via email that a part, a programmed integrated circuit, will be discontinued in 4 weeks' time. This is a typical event in the manufacturing lifecycle. Tim saves the event as a task to be managed later and continues processing emails. Later in the day, Tim reviews his task list using a Yahoo widget. This is but one channel an end user can use to manage tasks. They can also be managed via the SAP Universal Worklist or via Outlook tasks. Tim opens the task from the widget and is presented with a task workspace. The task name is derived from the email subject and is easily changed to something more meaningful. The email body and all attachments are saved in the bookshelf, where you can also attach additional documents. Tim enters a brief note to outline the problem and a possible solution path. Similar to consumer applications, NetVibes, or MyYahoo, Tim can access relevant structured information sources or unstructured collaboration tools and drag and drop them into his workspace. Tim grabs the approved manufacturer parts list, an existing R3 transaction, and uses it to determine if there are other approved suppliers for part PIC ABS 210. While McGee has used other suppliers in the past, it appears they have relied on TieBuy for so long that other suppliers are no longer approved. This approval process is critical, since not only is McGee required to perform quality analysis on supplier parts, but their automotive customers must also perform their own quality analysis. This can take up to 4 weeks and will require an internal task force that Tim assigns. Because there isn't a quick solution, he identifies 2 separate but parallel workstreams required to complete the task. The first is to secure a short-term supply from TieBuy, their existing supplier, to ensure ongoing production. The second is to find and evaluate new suppliers. The first task is assigned to the production supervisor, Alex Meche, and the production planner, Liz Fulton. The second and more challenging task is assigned to himself and the product engineer, Carl Schmidt. This task will extend over several weeks and has several steps that require the task force members to be in sync. Since they've gone through this process several times in the course of the year, there exists a best practice template that can be applied to the task. Tim does a quick search, finds the template, and drags it onto the task. We'll see later how this action impacts the shape and context of his task workspace. Finally, Tim creates a weekly task force meeting directly within the workspace. A contextual link to the task workspace is automatically added along with the participant names. During this initial burst of activity, Tim, in effect, creates a situational application on the fly in order to problem solve. This application is shared with task force members who have a clear, consistent view of the problem and resolution progress. During the first task force meeting, all participants meet to review progress. Tim opens the Find New Supplier workspace. It was dynamically created from the best practice Find New Supplier template Tim previously applied to the task. This new workspace contains a series of subtasks that Tim assigns to he and Carl. This represents an actionable best practice codified in a flexible, situational application as opposed to a best practice binder that gathers dust on an office shelf. After assigning task owners, Tim starts on the first two using the approved manufacturer parts list from R3 and the supplier analytics widget from SAP BW. He reasons that FastShip and 10-Core are the two best candidates based on previous defects parts per million and on-time delivery metrics. He scrolls up to record this observation and also sees a note from Carl suggesting a new supplier. Tim acknowledges this and marks the first tasks as complete. He spends a few minutes to issue the RFQs directly from the approved manufacturer parts list. This launches the Create RFQ transaction from R3. Once completed, he marks that task complete and makes a quick note that the RFQs are issued. The remaining tasks are Carl's responsibility over the next 2 weeks. He'll work directly with the suppliers to source parts, build samples, and conduct internal and external quality tests with McGee's automotive customers. Tim closes the workspace and continues with his day. 2 weeks have passed, and the task force meets to review progress. Carl has already noted that FastShip and Neotech passed internal and external QA tests. Next, they review the RFQs to see the supplier bids. A summary is embedded directly within the workspace, and it's not necessary to perform a search. Neotech has offered the best price, and the decision is made to go with them. The other two suppliers are also approved and can be used in the future if necessary. Tim notes the final decision and marks the final task complete. The meeting is adjourned, and Tim has a few minutes to himself to complete the business process by issuing the purchase order, which is pre-populated based on the RFQ results. Tim then navigates via the breadcrumb to the parent workspace, sees Liz and Alex's notes, and that the first task is complete. He closes the Find New Supplier task and completes the initial task tied by part cancellation workspace and returns to his desktop. As you've seen, this entire business scenario was spawned from a single event, an email, announcing a part cancellation. It required 4 people from McGee working together over 3 weeks to problem solve and complete the scenario. The SAP business process the task force intersected with is quite simple and involves 3 steps: finding suppliers, issuing our RFQs, and creating a purchase order. But the activity surrounding the process, the scenario, is very dynamic, social, and consumes 80% of the effort. The Eventus project demonstrates how SAP can harness the best aspects of collaborative tools from the consumer web and apply them inside of the enterprise to bridge the unstructured and structured worlds.